Something really big and, frankly, pretty surprising is happening in the world of electric cars. A piece of tech that a lot of people, myself included, kind of wrote off is suddenly front and center. So think back just a couple of years ago. The message from basically every car company was loud and clear, right? The all-electric future is here, it's inevitable, get on board. But now, a lot of those same companies are pumping the brakes. They're pivoting. So what gives? What's really going on? Well, what we're all watching unfold is being called the Great Electric Pivot. It's this massive reality check hitting the auto industry. Turns out, the road to a 100% electric world is, well, a lot bumpier, a lot more expensive, and taking way longer than anyone thought. And to get through it, they're reaching back for a technology many of us thought was long gone. And hey, this isn't just talk. This is real. Look at this. Back in 2020, companies like Stellantis and Volkswagen were all in on platforms built only for battery electric vehicles, or BEVs. Now, their whole strategy has shifted to something they call multi-energy platforms. That's a huge change in thinking, and it's happening right before our eyes. So what is this comeback kit? What is this technology they're turning to? It's called an EREV. That stands for Extended Range Electric Vehicle. And this right here is the key to understanding this whole industry pivot. Okay, so here's the simplest way to think about it. An ERV is a pure electric car that just happens to carry its own personal power plant around. It's got the battery, it's got the electric motors that turn the wheels, you get that awesome instant acceleration, all the stuff you love about an EV, but it also has a small gas engine. And here's the crucial part, the part you have to remember. That engine's only job is to make electricity for the battery. It never, ever, ever directly powers the wheels. So in your day-to-day life, it works in two really simple modes. For all your normal driving, your commute, errands, you're in charge depleting mode. That's 100% silent electric driving. But let's say you're on a long road trip. Once that battery gets low, the car just seamlessly switches over to charge sustaining mode. The gas generator quietly kicks on in the background, and it just keeps feeding the battery, letting you drive for hundreds of extra miles. No stopping, no drama. Now this is what makes it so different from a typical plug-in hybrid, a PHEV. With a lot of PHEVs, the gas engine will kick in to help power the wheels. It's a complicated dance, but with an EREV, the driving experience is always electric. You always get that smooth, instant power from the electric motors. You just get the peace of mind of having that gas generator as a backup. It's kind of the best of both worlds, a perfect bridge between a hybrid and a full EV. All right, so we get what it is. But the big question is why? Why is this idea making such a massive comeback right now? Well, as it turns out, the EREV offers some pretty elegant solutions to some of the biggest headaches facing pure electric cars today. Let me ask you a very practical question, especially for all you truck people out there. You just bought a shiny, powerful new electric pickup. What happens the first time you hook up a heavy trailer to go camping for the weekend? The answer is a brutal lesson in physics. Towing a heavy load can absolutely demolish an electric truck's range. We're talking a 50% cut, sometimes even more. So that 300-mile range you paid for, suddenly it's maybe 150 miles, if you're lucky. And if you actually need your truck to be a tool, well, that's a deal breaker. And this is exactly where the EREV comes in and just shines. See, instead of trying to cram in a ridiculously huge, heavy, and expensive battery to solve the towing problem, trucks like the new Ram 1500 Ramchargers do something smarter. They use a smaller, more sensible battery and pair it with a V6 generator. So you get all that instant electric torque you need for pulling, but you use gas, which is incredibly energy dense, to keep you going on the long haul. It's the utility of a diesel with the feel of an EV. But it's not just about towing, not by a long shot. EREVs are also a perfect way to fill the gaps in our charging network, especially in rural areas, those so-called charging deserts. For the car makers, using a smaller battery saves a ton of money and eases the strain on supply chains. Plus, it helps them hit their regulatory targets. And maybe most importantly, it gives them a real answer to the incredibly popular and advanced ERVs coming out of China. The history of this tech is just a fascinating story. It's this total rise, fall, and rise again narrative. The Chevy Volt proved the concept worked way back in 2011, but by 2019, GM killed it to go all in on pure EVs. And here's the crazy part. In that exact same year, a little startup called Li Auto was founded in China, and they went all in on the EREV idea. And now, look at us. It's 2024, and the tech is roaring back in the US, with the Ram Charger leading the charge. And that brings us to this really interesting twist in the story. Because even though the EREV is making a comeback everywhere, the way it's being sold in the West versus in China, well, it could not be more different. It's like a tale of two completely different game plans. So in the West, the EREV is being pitched as a practical tool, a workhorse. It's here to solve the towing problem and make our beloved big trucks and SUVs viable in an electric age. But in China? Oh, it's a completely different story. Over there, it's been positioned as a luxury feature. It's a status symbol for families who want the latest tech, but with zero compromises. And those different philosophies, they lead to totally different engineering. Western EREVs, like that Ram Charger, they use a smaller battery designed for utility. But Chinese EREVs, they're all about this big battery plus big tank idea. They have enough battery for over 120 miles of pure electric driving, but with a gas generator, their total range can be over 800 miles. It's built on this idea that true luxury is never having to stop if you don't want to. And here's the marketing genius behind it all. Companies like Li Auto did something brilliant. They never called the engine a backup or a range extender. I mean, those words kind of imply a weakness, right? Instead, they called it a power unit. That one little change completely reframed the whole idea, turning a perceived compromise into a feature of ultimate freedom. So, what does this all add up to? The comeback of the EREV, it's not just a car story. It actually tells us something much bigger about progress and how technology really moves forward. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't a step backward. It's actually a sign that the industry is growing up. It's moving away from this very rigid, ideological belief that pure EVs are the only answer, and it's moving towards a much more practical, realistic approach that actually solves the problems real people have. And this matters to all of us because it makes the idea of driving electric a real possibility for way more people. It tackles those big nagging problems like range anxiety and towing that have kept people on the sidelines. And maybe most importantly, it's just a fantastic reminder that the road to the future, it's rarely a straight line. Sometimes you have to look back to find the best way forward. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this constant rush for what's new, what's next, is it possible that the smartest, most advanced solution is one we actually figured out a long time ago?